Anticipation of two Titan Kaiju clashing once again is extremely high with Godzilla vs. Kong. As many are aware, Godzilla's mechanical doppelganger is most likely going to make his return as well. Many have wondered if the King of the Monsters would ever do a crossover with the world of the Transformers. While Toho may never allow a crossover of this magnitude to happen, the Decepticons do have a transforming Titan Kaiju of their own. That is none other than Decepticon City himself, Trypticon. I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one or purchasing some merch on my Teespring store today. In addition to the special teams of combiners released in 1986, also known as Scramble City Combiners, were two new Transformer City bases. While the Autobots added Metroplex, the Decepticon counterpart was Trypticon.
That's it, Trypticon, the new Decepticon City. It's enormous! That never stopped the Protectobots before. Transform Trypticon! The Transformers!
With motorized lights and sounds, Trypticon was a triple-changing menace that transformed from city mode to rolling battle fortress mode to his Kaiju-style dinosaur mode.
The Protectobots can transform into Defensor. But Trypticon can transform again into a dinosaur.
Like Omega Supreme and Skylinks, Trypticon's motors allowed the Decepticon to walk as he crushed any Autobots in his path. In City mode, Trypticon was compatible with the Decepticon Scramble City leaders, Onslaught and Motormaster, giving some purpose to their base modes. The name Trypticon is kind of a play on words based on his transformation, since a triptych is a tri-folding frame usually used for art. Components of Trypticon could also transform into a battle tank named Brunt, and the car usually seen on his Dino Mode's chest also transformed into the Decepticon Full Tilt. In his bio, as written by Bob Budiansky, Trypticon was the most lethal fighting machine devised by the Decepticons. Without mercy, he doesn't stop blasting until he's hip deep in smoking rubble. In addition to his Dino Rocket backpack, Trypticon is armed to the teeth with weapons such as heat-seeking plasma bombs and a mind-controlling hypno-beam. Trypticon's very first appearance in media was in a Japanese exclusive episode named Scramble City in April of 1986. Set some time after Season 2, but before Transformers the movie, the OVA started with the construction of Autobot Scramble City, Metroplex. It also featured the combiner teams using their special scramble power against each other. The Decepticons even used their own limbs to cripple the Autobot combiners, a rare event that never occurred in American G1 continuity. The Autobots were at a severe disadvantage until Metroplex arrived. Ending on a cliffhanger, Dinosaur, or Trypticon to us, rose from the ocean under Megatron's command. More on that later. In Season 3 of the G1 cartoon, Trypticon was activated by the Constructicons in Five Faces of Darkness. Voiced by Brad Garrett, who was well known for playing Robert Barone in Everybody Loves Raymond,
Trypticon cannot be stopped! Nothing can stand in my way!
Trypticon began his rampage by attacking Mount St. Hilary. The Autobot minicars and the Ark's defenses stood no chance against Trypticon's might. Showing off his power, Trypticon destroyed the Ark in addition to Teletran 1. He then marched his way to Metroplex, and the two Titans clashed. Eventually, Metroplex managed to gain the upper hand as he tossed Trypticon through the sky and into the ocean. Although the Autobots believed Trypticon was destroyed, Galvatron secretly ordered the Decepticon Titan to retreat to Dinobot Island, where its primordial energies could allow him to heal. Hoping to eventually take over the Decepticons, the triple changer Octane convinced Trypticon to continue his recovery with the high-grade oil found in the Socialist Democratic Federated Republic of Carbamia. Its militant dictator, Abdul Fakadi, an 80s lampoon of the murderous tyrant Muammar Gaddafi, struck a deal with the two Decepticons by having Trypticon steal world-famous monuments from other countries to be allowed to stay.
Very agreeable. If that dim-witted dinosaur keeps bringing me monuments from all over the world, we will have a thriving tourist trade.
Grimlock realized the thief had dinosaur transform static, which set off an investigation for all Autobots who have dino motes.
Nevertheless, I am definitely not a Dinobot. I refuse to participate in this kangaroo court.
Perceptor deduced that the thief must be from Carbamia. At the same time, Galvatron staged a hostile takeover of Carbamia, and Fakadi reached out to the Autobots for help. When they arrived, Trypticon was once again defeated by Metroplex, and Carbamia was liberated from the Decepticons.
No thanks. Keep your offers and just give us back the gold.
Indeed it does. And I need your word that you'll never cooperate with the Decepticons again.
Metroplex returned all of the monuments, clearing the name of the Autobots. Trypticon was then brought to the Decepticon base on the planet Char, where he quite literally became their main base of operations as Decepticon City. However, Starscream's ghost possessed the Titan.
Starscream! You are a dead mechanism!
Of course I'm dead, Galvatron, but not for much longer, and then are you going to be sorry?
I'm already sorry!
Bringing Trypticon to Unicron as part of a plan for the ghostly Decepticon to come back from the dead. His firepower proved more than a match for Galvatron, but thanks to the Battle Chargers and the Coneheads, Trypticon was freed from Starscream's control.
I can't control it anymore!
After being repaired once again, Trypticon was sent on a Godzilla-like rampage to crush Metroplex after the Decepticons sent Swindle to steal Metroplex's transformation cog.
Smatter, bozo! Way too fast for you?
Don't need to catch.
However, RodimusPrime and Ultra Magnus had Spike and Daniel steal Trypticon's cog. Playing the whole switcheroo, the Decepticons installed Metroplex's cog into Trypticon, who had difficulty controlling his transformations.
Trypticon turned Metroplex into slime.
The Autobots attempted the same with Trypticon's cog, allowing Metroplex to have a fighting chance. Thanks to First Aid, Metroplex gained full control and defeated the Decepticon Titan for a third time, leaving Trypticon stuck in a swampy marsh. Trypticon's last G1 cartoon appearance was in the episode Call of the Primitives, where he, along with every primitive Transformer, was summoned on a quest to stop an energy being known as Tornadron. Deactivated when Tornadron absorbed his energy, Trypticon came crashing down upon the other primitives.
We all survived! Not all, Swoop! All survived! Except Leader Grimlock!
Thanks to his hard head, Grimlock survived, nearly being crushed by Trypticon, and traveled alone to stop the latest galactic menace. Tornadron was eventually defeated when Grimlock reversed the energy flow in the lab of the being's creator, Primacron.
Grimlock saved universe! Oh, Grimlock hero!
Trypticon most likely returned with his fellow Decepticon primitives back to Char. While ignoring the events of the rebirth, the Japanese continuity continued with their own series, the Headmasters. In Dino Base mode, Trypticon became the Decepticons' Earth base of operations under the command of Sixshot. Frequently seen in battle against the Autobots on Earth, Trypticon often made use of his size, which even helped Sixshot to kill Ultra Magnus. With the help of a Decepticon weapon known as the Mad Machine, Trypticon even had a single victory over Metroplex. In the single episode OVA, Transformers Zone, Trypticon along with the Decepticon combiners were given new powered-up forms. Unfortunately, they were all quickly dispatched by the Zodiac-powered Autobot Diatlas. Further details of the Japanese continuity will have to be a discussion for another day. In the Marvel Comics, Trypticon made a single appearance in the US run when he was sent to Earth via a space bridge by the Decepticon Ratbat to attack the Ark. Although much smaller than his cartoon counterpart, Trypticon was still a menace to the Autobots as he attacked them with heavy artillery, including a sonic scrambler mine that incapacitated its victims. Instead of brunt or full tilt, Trypticon sent out the Decepticon Wipeout, who was a dark recolor of the Autobot Tailgate, to scout for any nearby threats. Finding the college student Rachel Becker, who was doing research in the area, Wipeout delivered her to Trypticon. The giant Decepticon relished at the chance to destroy something organic until he was attacked by Grimlock and the Dinobots. Unlike the cartoon, where he had a worse win-loss record than Glass Joe, Trypticon nearly won the battle. However, Ratbat summoned Trypticon back to Cybertron as he used up his budgeted allotment of energy for the mission. While Trypticon didn't appear again in the US run in the comics, he made a brief appearance in the UK stories, helping the Duocon Flywheels to break into a fortress to stop the mad Autobot scientist Flame from destroying Cybertron. After G1 ended, Trypticon certainly made his presence felt, even if it was simply a cameo or a name mention. In the Japanese dub of Beast Wars, the Tripredicus Council went by the name of the Trypticon Council. In Beast Wars II, the Decepticon Megastorm, who himself was a redeco of Generation 2 Megatron, was given power through anomalous energy, upgrading him to the mighty Gigastorm. While sporting a few new sharp details, clearly his toy was a retool of Trypticon. Despite not appearing in the live-action films, Trypticon was the capital city on Cybertron as seen in the tie-in comics. In Transformers Animated, Trypticon's base mode was a prison on Cybertron, which is where the Stunticons ended up after attempting to free their leader, Megatron. The first new incarnation of the character came in the Align continuity, orbiting Cybertron as Trypticon Station. Connected to a geosynchronous energon bridge, the space station could beam energon to various locations. During the war, Megatron commandeered the station so that he can gain the power of the dark energon stored inside the station itself. Trypticon, under Megatron's command, began attacking the Autobots' transports as they were escaping the planet. The aerial bots managed to infiltrate the station and destroy Trypticon's transformation cog. This forced Trypticon to convert to his Cybertronian dino-like robot mode. Voiced by Fred Tatasciore,
You haven't defeated me, Autobots. You have only untethered your own destroyer.
Trypticon continued his assault, even though the aerial bots managed to take out his ability to fly. Optimus Prime led a group of Autobots to attack the Decepticon menace, which eventually led to Trypticon's destruction.
You haven't defeated me, Autobots.
You've lost, Trypticon.
Megatron would then rebuild Trypticon to suit his purposes. Very much like Omega Supreme in Animated, Trypticon's new identity was the Nemesis, Megatron's warship seen throughout the Transformers Prime cartoon. Accidentally beamed aboard the Nemesis, the Autobot Bulkhead destroyed the ship's power core as a means of escape. To bring the warship back online, Megatron once again used Dark Energon to reactivate the ship. Now voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson,
Your will is nothing. The Iacon artifact will belong to me.
the ship unexpectedly began acting on its own, even putting all of the Decepticons on board into stasis lock so that it can take on the mission to find Cybertronian relics. After learning that the ship was no longer cloaked, the Autobots attempted to attack it, but were also deactivated as well. To prevent disaster, the Autobot human allies snuck aboard the ship and drained the Dark Energon from its core. Luckily, they were able to escape before the Decepticons were fully reactivated.
Say ha. I'm here to offer a second opinion.
Although the Prime cartoon was set in the Align continuity, the writers and story editors chose not to reveal that the ship was in fact Trypticon being reactivated, despite there being preliminary designs for his transformation. As with other issues with the Align continuity, that will have to be a discussion for another day.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Trypticon's G1 incarnation was not to be forgotten, as few smaller toys were made of the character, including a working and transforming USB mouse. He also appeared as a boss in the Famicom Transformers game Mystery of Convoy, the Headmaster's game on the Famicom Disk System, and again in the Transformers game on the PlayStation 2. In the Dreamwave comics, Trypticon was thought to be a mere mobile defense base in the early days of the war. However, the Autobots soon realized how powerful he truly was when he transformed and attacked. In this series, his Kaiju mode was given a more Cybertronian look since he had yet to come to Earth. The IDW comics gave Trypticon an ancient origin, quite possibly created by Mortalis using the Void Scepter. Eventually, he was defeated and buried by another Titan, Metroplex. After being rediscovered by Autobot scientists, Scorponok reawakened the Titan as he unleashed his fury upon Cybertron. Hunting for his ancient enemy Metroplex, Trypticon devoured both Grimlock and Megatron, who in turn destroyed the Titan's core, deactivating him. Megatron would later revive Trypticon with the spark of the Quintesson Pentius, whose memories merged with the Titan. While his mind was a jumbled mess, Trypticon still swore loyalty to the Decepticon leader. Megatron then used Trypticon as his space fortress to gather his troops before sending Trypticon to attack Metroplex. Unfortunately, Trypticon was once again defeated by his ancient enemy, but this was a distraction as the Decepticons used a Quintesson-styled warship to impale Metroplex. Megatron feared that the spark of Pentius had too much influence on Trypticon. Using the Matrix of Leadership, Optimus Prime purged Trypticon of the Quintesson spark. However, the giant Decepticon still lived on throughout the war, until Cybertron itself was reset by Vector Sigma. Trypticon was frozen by this change until he was commandeered by Bludgeon many years later using the very same Void Scepter said to have created the Titan. Using Trypticon as a personal warship, Bludgeon began a conquest of Cybertron until the scepter was destroyed. Free of its control, Trypticon then took his revenge on Bludgeon with a powerful blast. Choosing a peaceful existence afterward, Trypticon then became a protector of newly born protoforms. Unfortunately, Trypticon met his end as one of Unicron's many victims. A monster of Trypticon's magnitude certainly continued to cause destruction in comic book crossovers, such as one of the many G.I. Joe Transformers stories and Star Trek vs. Transformers, the latter of which saw Trypticon battle Fortress Maximus, who had taken an alternate form of the Starship Enterprise. A new Trypticon toy finally came in 2017's Titans Return toy line after the Kaiju-style Decepticon won a fan vote. True to the Kaiju that inspired him, the toy was much larger than his previous toys.
It's got much bigger.
This version of Trypticon might not have had the motorized walking feature of his original toy, but he made up for it with the ability to eat smaller Titan Master figures. In addition to his city mode, his mobile fortress mode doubled as a warship, taking cues from previous reimaginings of the character. Trypticon also came packaged with a new deluxe version of Full Tilt. His head transformed into the Titan Master Necro, who was intended to be a new version of Wipeout. This wasn't the first time that Wipeout received a toy though, since Wipeout was sold in Japan in limited quantities in the Transformers United toy line as a redeco of Reveal the Shield Windcharger. Trypticon's new toy helped bring the Decepticon Titan back in animated form in the Prime Wars trilogy. Revived by the Fallen using Starscream's ghost, Trypticon rampaged across Cybertron once again. Walking slower than Godzilla in his approach to Orga, Trypticon's firepower proved more than a match for the Autobots, as he even defeated his old nemesis Metroplex. Fortress Maximus was able to stand his ground, however Trypticon grew in power after devouring the Enigma of Combination and the Matrix of Leadership. The power of the Matrix caused Trypticon to eject all that he had absorbed, including Starscream's ghost. Without anything to keep the Titan alive, Trypticon's corpse collapsed into Fortress Maximus's arms. While he was not included in Trypticon's Titan's Return toy, the battle drone, Brunt, was sold separately in the War for Cybertron Trilogy's Siege toy line. Now upgraded as a weaponizer, Brunt was now given a new robot mode that resembled the Centaurian drones seen in the IDW comics. In fact, this led to Brunt being redecoed into that same drone as a Generation Selects exclusive. Because of how Trypticon was introduced in the original cartoon, his origin has been a complicated series of events, especially considering how Scramble City ended with an unresolved cliffhanger. In 5 Faces of Darkness, the Constructicons activated Trypticon as if he was simply made from the components of an American city. However, his Cybertronian origins were further explored in Japanese manga stories, where Full Tilt was a sentient Cybertronian and that he was Trypticon's backup unit in case the Titan was ever deactivated or destroyed. When Trypticon, or Dinosaurer, was released into Kara's Legends toy line, the tie-in manga finally detailed the events following Scramble City. A time-traveling Galvatron 2 was sent along with the newly constructed Trypticon to attack Metroplex, but the Autobot Titan blasted them both, leaving nothing but wreckage. Thrust and Dirge finally recovered Full Tilt, who was then used by the Constructicons in 5 Faces of Darkness to interface with the new body for Trypticon that they had created. In addition, it should be noted that the Decepticons abandoned their undersea headquarters in Season 3, and that Trypticon was seen rising from the ocean in Scramble City. It is possible that the very same undersea base, which was the ship seen crashing in the More Than Meets the Eye pilot, was used to construct Trypticon's body, and quite possibly was used for parts to build his new body in 5 Faces of Darkness once Full Tilt had interfaced with it. This would explain how the Decepticons have maintained their base even in interstellar travel, as Trypticon is now the sentient Decepticon City in the Decepticons' never-ending desire for galactic conquest.
Need a Trypticon for my plans of conquering the Earth!
But what do you think? Does this neatly fix Trypticon's origins? And should Transformers cross over with other kaiju such as Godzilla or Pacific Rim? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
As Optimus Prime used to say, transform and roll out!